today we'll be improving athletes' movement in 3D space. In other words, how to own your 3D space. But what is that 3D space? Well, the 3D space of an athlete is the space around the athlete. In front of the athlete, behind the athlete, on both sides of the athlete, and horizontally around the athlete. So why would it be important to improve athletes' 3D space? Well, in a lot of sports, that 3D space is hugely important. Moving in different directions, reacting, taking steps, moving away or towards the opponent, moving towards the ball or reaching for something. Everything requires movement in that 3D space. We can improve athletes' movement in 3D space by using Movement Map and the principles of applied functional science. We can, for example, take the common lunge matrix from Ray Institute and use it to improve our movement in 3D space. What is common lunge matrix? Well, the common lunge matrix would be lunging forward, lunging sideways, and lunging back in rotation. Why would that be important? Well, we're moving forward and back with the first variation, side to side with the second variation, and back in rotation with the third variation. So we're covering a lot of ground in our 3D space. It's also important because our muscles and our joints function in three-dimensional way. When I take a step forward, my left hip goes movement through sagittal plane, which is also known as extension, when we step forward with the opposite side leg. When I take a step here, my left hip is going through abduction. And when I take a step back in rotation, my hip goes through relative external rotation. So all of those motions that are so important for my hip joint are covered by doing those 3 steps in different directions. So what else can we do in our 3D space to improve that movement and really own it? Not just move in it, but own it. Well, we should be able to combine movement patterns together. So if we have that common lunge matrix in 3 different directions, we are covering our locomotion forward and side and back, but we're still not covering a whole lot up here. So we could combine an upper body movement pattern with the lower body movement pattern. So for example, I could take that same step forward and reach back with my arms, creating a higher space above me. I could do the same thing stepping sideways. I could take the step back and still reach over my head. Now I'm covering, in a vertical sense, also much more space. We can also do the same thing by covering space in frontal plane. I can take the step forward, cover the space to my left or to my right. I can do the same thing, stepping left or right, covering space left or right. And I can do the same in rotation. And finally, we can perform the same common lunge matrix with upper body rotational swing in horizontal plane. Well, that was just an example of how to use common lunge matrix and upper body arm swings to improve mobility and stability and coordination in this 3D space. Of course, we can use different movement patterns, such as squatting or vertical jumping. We can do leaping, or we can increase strength movements in our 3D space. But what is important is that every athlete has a 3D space. All the sport-specific tasks are being performed in this space. And so much of the success in how to perform the task or sport-specific movement is related to how well the athlete owns his or her 3D space. Hopefully that was helpful to you, maybe on a philosophical level, but also on a practical level. And we're going to be coming at you with more ideas of how to use Movement Map. Thank you.